Hello and welcome to the channel for those who want to excel at exams, work and languages. Today we're going to talk about languages. Especially this video will be very helpful for those of you who are trying to read a book in a language that's not their mother tongue and where they're not fluent yet. So if that's a situation that at times you incur, keep watching and you will find some interesting solutions. Today we're going to understand the mistakes that people make when reading a book in a foreign language. Because very often the problem is that we try to apply the same kind of mindset that we have in our own language to books in other languages. First of all, first mistake that people make is that they expect to understand everything. Why is this a mistake? Because of course, when you're reading a book that's not your mother tongue, it's very likely that there will be words that you don't know. So first of all, don't expect to understand everything. That's very wrong. You're just going towards disappointment and frustration if you do. Second mistake, people that maybe they don't expect to understand everything, but they are already there with the dictionary trying to look for every single word that they don't know yet. Wrong. Why? Because think about this. If you're reading a book, especially a novel or a book that you're on a topic like a non-fiction book that you're interested in, and you stop every few words to look up words in the dictionary because you haven't understood them, after a lot of minutes, after half an hour, you will notice that you've read just a few lines. That's going to be so frustrating and your motivation will go down. Years ago, when I was 15, I was starting to learn English. I wanted to learn it. I loved Harry Potter. And so my granddad had the wonderful idea of reading with us. He could speak English very well. So to reading with me and my brother, the 5th book of Harry Potter. And that was amazing, okay? The Order of the Phoenix, wonderful. We started after the first couple of pages in which we could understand nothing. We were frustrated. We never finished that book. It wasn't my granddad's fault, but it was because, and this leads very nicely into the third mistake, we had selected a book that was too hard for us. So don't look for all the words that you don't understand, second mistake, but also if you realize that there's too many words and you really can't make a meaning out of what you're reading, it means that that book is not for you yet. You're not ready yet for that book. So select a book that has a level that allows you to understand most of it. Not everything, mistake one, but most of it. Fourth mistake, people that do the opposite of the second mistake. So second mistake is people that look for every single word that they don't understand. So they stop at every single word. Fourth mistake is not looking for anything. So just reading and whatever I understand. That's a problem too. Why? Because otherwise you will find yourself reading a lot of things but not really making a sense of what you're reading, and that doesn't make any sense at all. So what can we do? We need to find a balance. We need to find a balance because we need to understand that there are words in a text that are necessary and there are words that are ancillary or optional. So when you read a text and you realize that there's a word that you don't understand, but you understood the meaning of the whole sentence, don't get stuck on that word. Don't get stuck on it because otherwise you will remove all the pleasure of reading. On the other hand, if the word that you are not understanding prevents you from understanding the meaning of the sentence, that's a word that you do need to check up because otherwise you are not going to be able to understand what you are reading. Now, I am a perfectionist. I mean, I used to be much worse, but I'm still a little bit of a perfectionist. So I think about this. If you read a book, you don't understand a word, you skip it because you understood the meaning. In the mind of a perfectionist, there will keep being something there. Think, oh my God, I didn't check that word. I don't know that word. Oh my God, I need to know it. So I want to help you with that small strategy to help you with that problem. So read the sentence. when there's a word that you don't understand, ask yourself, is it an ancillary word or is it a necessary word? If it is necessary, look it up. If it is ancillary, what do? Just underline it or note it down according to what kind of book it is without looking it up. Just noting it down. When you have your session in which you are going to study vocab, then you will look up all those words that you have selected out of your book. But don't do it while you're reading, because otherwise all the pleasure that you could have for reading will go down. Every time you need to read, you will just sabotage yourself. Something will happen. You will not start. You will feel distracted. You will be somewhere else with your mind. No. Reading in a new language is fundamental, and it will enrich your vocabulary a lot, because you will understand that there's so many words that you already know without ever learning them, just because semantically they're similar to a word in your own language or to other words that you know. It's a very wonderful experience, because you don't just learn something new like you would do if you were reading in your language, but you also understand so much more about the language. But if you lose all pleasure in doing it, that becomes a problem, because you will start just avoiding that activity instead of using it in order to grow and improve. So read, apply the strategy that we've mentioned, and then on the day in which you work on vocab, or on the time of the day in which you work on your vocab, so take the list that you have created and memorize the words that you didn't know. Enjoy. Let me know how it goes, and if you have other strategies that you apply when you're reading a book in a language that you didn't know before.